Well, my brothers and sisters, I have said these words, this gospel, many, many times into the ears of those who are preparing to die. It's one of the gospel passages suggested for the anointing of the sick. And it's a beautiful gospel. It speaks of the tenderness of Jesus, an image of a humble one who comes to give rest to those who are laboring. I want to speak about the context of this passage. And to do that, I want to go back to our second reading, the letter to the Romans. This is one of the most important texts in all of Christendom, and certainly one that there's been a great deal of debate about. It was of massive importance to Luther, the letter to the Romans. The letter to the Romans has as its central theological premise that no longer are the precepts of the law salvific. There was a belief that circumcision, certainly a precept of the law, but also many of the other ritual purity laws were intimately and essentially connected to salvation. If you want to be saved, if you want to be a member of the chosen people, this is what you do. These are the laws that you keep. And St. Paul's message in the letter to the Romans is no longer. We are no longer saved by circumcision, the works of the flesh. We are no longer saved by the particular precepts of the ceremonial law. No. Now salvation is found through surrender to Jesus Christ, through belief in Him and in His way of service, His way of love, His way of mercy, and His own tender affection for the Father that we are called to live in and through. So don't be confused when St. Paul speaks about put away the works of the flesh. He's not speaking principally about matters of impurity, though certainly that's important. He's speaking about the works of the law. The works of the law do not save. Rather, faith in Jesus Christ and the works of love that flow from that faith, that is what saves. You can imagine how debilitating such a vision of salvation would be if it fundamentally was keeping rules and regulations. Frankly, I think many people still operate under that viewpoint. And one could be constantly concerned, especially if one was of a more sensitive nature or perhaps even scrupulous. It would be debilitating. Have I kept all of the 499 laws? Have I washed my hands in the proper time? Have I bowed my head the proper words? Have I done all the things that I'm supposed to do? And without which I will be lost. Into this context and this worldview and this view of salvation comes Jesus, who comes to liberate His people to a simple way. To liberate them, not an easy way, but a simple way. Love God and love neighbor. Love as I have loved you. Love the poor, love the weak, love the vulnerable. Serve them with a special care. The works of the law do not save, but the works of love flowing from a faith in Jesus, this is accessible to all, to all. So when Jesus says, I am meek and humble of heart, take my yoke upon you, He is commanding those who listen to Him to put away the deeds of the flesh, allegiance to the law, thinking of salvation as a contract. You do this, God will do this for you. No. Salvation is a gift given by a Father who loves us more than we love ourselves, accessible in and through Jesus Christ. My friends, there are so many promises that Jesus gives to us that should fill us with a sense of relief and a sense of rest even. We are a pilgrim people who walk in a fallen world. We will never, this side of the veil, have complete and lasting peace. We simply won't. But a life lived centered on Jesus and an attempt to conform our life to His will bring consolations that otherwise would not be there. One of them is a belief in the resurrection of the body. This past Wednesday, I assisted my father in moving out of our home of 60 years to the Little Sisters of the Poor. It's been a long process, and he's made the move. And on Wednesday, myself and some other family members assisted him with that. And I will remember, I'm sure for the rest of my life, very vividly, my dad sitting in the corner of his little apartment over there, and the Little Sisters of the Poor, and many of his family swirling about him, putting things away, putting boxes on the floor. When I saw him, kind of observing all of us, my first thought was, he looks like he's a kid who missed the bus. Kind of overwhelmed by what's happening here. And I'm sure, and he confirmed this when I saw him on Thursday, the day after, he thought to himself, what in the world have I done? Was this the right choice? To leave a home where one had built a family is no small thing, and many of you know that very, very well. And I myself got rather emotional on Wednesday as we drove away. Now, the family home will be kept in the family. My niece is going to get the house. It's a beautiful setup. It's great. But still, my dad won't be there. My dad won't be there. And that makes all the difference in the world. It reminded me of the radical importance of the body and the presence of people in the flesh. You know, when I walk through my home, I could remember my mom doing this or doing that in that home, but my mom's been gone since 2015. And it's just not the same without her presence. We all know of the grave importance of the personal presence of people, their bodily presence. And the great glorious fact is that one of the central beliefs that we have as Christians is that we will get our bodies back. We don't believe that for all eternity after death, souls just sort of mingle up in heaven as kind of spirits. No. We believe that just as Jesus Christ himself rose from the grave, so too our bodies, please God, through his mercy, and the bodies of our loved ones will also rise from the grave. We've had a lot of funerals here recently, and we have quite a few coming up. Some of them have been very beautiful in the sense of full, glorious lives, and some very difficult. People who have died far before we would like them to pass away, before their time is up, mysteriously have gone before us. And it's so important in those moments to remember and to hear proclaimed the resurrection of the flesh, that we will see the loved one again in the flesh and touch them and be held by them and weep with them for joy. Certainly the heart of the matter of heaven is the beatific vision, to see God face to face and to know him as he knows us. But I don't think it's any betrayal of that paramount fact to also proclaim that part of the joy of heaven will also be to be with our loved ones again and to feel them again next to us. It was very moving. My father, after we took him out for dinner on Thursday, head back to the house and grabbed a couple of boxes. He found a piece of clothing of my mother there in the house, and he took it. Now, my dad ain't no sentimental kind of guy. But he took it not just because he was concerned that my niece might lose the piece of clothing. He took that piece of clothing because he wants to have it close to him. You know, many of you know of what I speak. And again, it reminds us of the power of the body and the importance of the sacrament of the person, which is the flesh. This, our bodies. Those who are struggling with loss, with times of transition, with times of leaving behind certain chapters of our life that were beautiful and good, it's incredibly important to remember that there will come a moment where there will be no more goodbyes, no more going away, that you will see your own loved one again, your spouse, perhaps even your child that you have said goodbye to, your sibling, your friends. And please God, through his mercy, they'll hug you and say, I've been waiting for you. I almost said we've been missing you, but we don't miss anything in heaven, so. But we'll be together again in that mansion of the Father that we will never leave from. We'll never pack up the U-Haul and see in the rearview mirror. Never. We will be there in the presence of Him who has made us for Himself, opened up the door of salvation to all who believe in the power of love expressed in and through Jesus. And we will see Him with our eyes, and we will laugh again with one another, and we will rejoice forever in that place that is home.